Fire in the vortex hole. Let's cook some ribs. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome once again to my backyard grill. What we got going on for you today is I've got a couple of racks of baby back ribs that we're going to cook them up hot and fast. First thing we got to do is remove the membrane from the bone side of the rib. It can be a little bit of a chore if you don't have a paper towel handy, which I do. If that'll stay on there, it's best to grab it with a paper towel and rip it off of there. It's a little bit of a chore, but you know what? I think it's worth it because that membrane is inedible. You really can't eat it, and it just makes a better presentation. There, almost lost them. See that? Get them over there where I can keep a track of them. Anyway, let me get the membrane off these two racks of ribs, then I'll show you what we're going to do with these. We're going to cut these apart and cook them hot and fast on the Weber Vortex. There goes one membrane done, one down, and one to go. Stay tuned. Okay, I got the membrane off the ribs. What we're going to do now is I'm going to take my Nakano kitchen knife. If you haven't checked out Nakano knives, please do so right now. Go down in the description and check out the Nakano website. I'll put a link in the description. This knife is awesome. It's an awesome kitchen knife, and you can get a 10% discount, I think, by using the code RootBoyCooks. I'll put the code in the description. I'll put the website. Get yourself a Nakano kitchen knife. They're excellent. Japanese knife, made in Japan, in Seikei, Japan, and it's stainless steel, wooden handle, perfectly balanced, sharp as a razor. What we're going to do now is take our ribs and cut them apart into separate ribs. We're going to separate them, cut them apart into riblets, kind of. I don't know if you call that riblets. Anyway, that's a rib. Right there is a rib. One rib. I'm using baby backs because they're nice and meaty. I got to cut. We're cutting between the bones to cut them all apart. And you probably don't need to see that, right? That's boring, isn't it? So let me get these ribs cut apart, and I'll get them in my bowl, and I'll show you the next step from there. While my Weber Vortex comes up to temperature, we'll get these ribs on the Weber Vortex. They're only going to cook in about 2 hours. They're going to be hot and fast. So stay tuned. Okay, I got my ribs cut into separate pieces, and you know, when you get down to the end of the rack, some of them are like this, just a chunk of meat. You know, but that's okay. That's good, actually. That'll be delicious. Some porky goodness right there, Dan. What do you think? New channel, Dan. Porky goodness. Let's throw some of the inevitable Sang stir-fry oil on our ribs. That's my binder. That's what I use to bind the rub to the ribs. Just to get them wet down a little bit with some Sangs. And we'll massage them a little bit with that Sang stir-fry oil. Get it all over all the ribs. And then we're going to use some of this rub I got here. This is from the man himself, Killer Hog barbecue rub, and this is his actual recipe, to be honest with you. So we're using this Killer Hog's barbecue rub, and we're going to get it all over these baby back ribs. We're going to use this generously, a lot of this on there. We want them all to look about like that. So we want to make sure we cover these ribs well with the Killer Hogs rub. We want them all to be covered well with Sang stir-fry oil and Killer Hog rub. We're going to just massage those around until they're all covered up with Killer Hogs and Sang stir-fry oil. And of course I'll wash the jar off when I'm done. Of course I am. Don't be silly. Some people say, oh, he didn't wash the jar, he didn't wash his hands. Don't worry about it, okay? I just got to get this rub all over these ribs. Get them covered up well. I can always dust them when they're on the griddle too, on the grill. But I want to get them rubbed down first. I want them to sit in the rub a little while and get a little bit of a dry brine going on them. So let's make sure they're all covered with Killer Hogs barbecue rub and Sang stir-fry oil. They're looking good already. They look good enough to eat. They're not even cooked yet. and they look good enough to eat, don't they? Oh man, that one escaped a little bit. We got to get a little bit of rub on him. Yeah, so we're going to get the rub on here. This rub has sugar in it too, by the way, so I'm not real wild about rubs with sugar in them, because the sugar can caramelize quickly and cause a problem. But I got my ribs rubbed down, and the vortex is coming up to temperature. Let me get them on the grill, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then they're going to take about 2 hours to cook. And we'll use a thermometer to check their temperature as they're coming along. We want to get them up to about 200 degrees, each individual rib. And then they'll be done, be ready to eat and drink a beer and take a taste. So stay tuned. The ribs are on the Weber Vortex. It's doing the thing that it does best. It's getting really hot, and it's going to create a lot of heat. We're going to put the top on that and just let that cook for about 30 minutes. Then we'll come back and flip them. We'll flip them every 30 minutes for the next 2 hours. It's going to take about 2 hours to cook these. We'll check them with a thermometer, and when time comes, we'll sauce them, and then we'll take a taste and drink a beer. So stay tuned. Okay, the ribs have been on the fire for about 30 minutes, and they're starting to look and smell delicious. It's time to flip them over. I would like to, as well as flipping them over, I would like to turn them away from the fire like that. So flip them over and over, like so. Oh man, these are making my mouth water just looking at them. Yeah, let me get them flipped over. That's just 30 minutes right there, and they're already looking delicious. Let's flip them again. That Killer Hogs barbecue rub is really something. That's that Malcolm Reed, you know. That boy, Mr. Barbecue Wright. You know him. Anyway, yeah, let me get them all flipped over, and then we'll come back in another 30 minutes. We'll look at them again, and then it's almost time to sauce them, and then you know what goes on from there. Stay tuned. Now, it's been about 2 hours. These ribs are probing tender. They're up to temperature. I'm going to sauce them now. Now, when Malcolm did this, he made his own barbecue sauce, but I've decided to use this Blues Hog Champion barbecue sauce. This stuff's delicious. I just think it's great. I'm going to just slather them with that Blues Hog sauce. Then I'll flip them over and hit them on the other side with some of that sauce. Oh man, the smell out here is unreal. Let me tell you what. Let's get these glazed up. You got to be careful of that vortex. That thing is hot. Let me tell you what. Let's get my ribs sauced up. Yes, sir. It's almost time to plate up and take a taste and drink a beer. So stay tuned. My hot and fast baby back ribs are done. Here's the Frosty Root Boy mug. Here's today's beer. This is Oktoberfest German style lager from the Chatham Brewing Company, Chatham, New York. My good friend Tango Joe sent me this beer, along with some other ones. And we're going to give this one a try. It had the prettiest label, an Oktoberfest. I like an Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest beer was originally brewed for the wedding of some German prince. I can't remember exactly. That was the first time it was brewed. We're going to pour out a glass of it. It is a beautiful, 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 lovely red beer. Let's take a sniff of that Rog Oktoberfest. I said Rob, not Rog. Pardon me. Anyway, look at the beauty of that color. Let's quaff the froth off it, Rob. Wow. Tango Joe. That's one of the most delicious beers I've ever tasted in my whole life. That's amazing. Chatham, New York. I never even heard of this place. 5.5 alcohol. Chatham, New York. Government warning. Brewed in the German tradition, finest hops and malts available. Goodbye to summer and welcome fall. I said welcome to that. Let me get me some more of that beer. That stuff's delicious. Let me tell you what. Let me spin the camera around and get one of these ribs in my mouth. Stay tuned. Oh, That beer is delicious, I gotta tell you. Look at the beautiful color of that. Is that amazing? Oktoberfest. I can't wait to quaff that. Ah, I need to get one of these ribs in my mouth. I had one picked out. I think it's this one. Look at the meat on that sucker. 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it's done. Oh, that's delicious. I got a nut. That's amazing. Well, it's not falling off the bone. It's perfectly cooked. I don't like them falling off the bone. That's delicious. That Blues Hog barbecue sauce is worth its weight in gold, I'll tell you. Anyway, yeah, awesome. Wow. I love ribs. I cleaned the bone off of that one. Man, babies, this is a great recipe. You gotta try this. Kudos to the man himself, Malcolm Reed, for the great recipe. Thank you so much to Tango Joe for the amazing Oktoberfest beer. Where should I send you guys this week? I forget. Well, I'll put an iCard up for somebody. Somebody will be in the iCard, somebody good. You know what I always say, if you like this crap, please subscribe. If you don't, go up in the iCard, check out whoever I put there. I can't remember who I'm going to send. I think I'll send you to the Bearded Italian. How about that? He's been popping out videos like crazy. His name's Brian. He's an awesome musician as well as being a good cook. And yeah, go check out the Bearded Italian. I'm a bearded Italian myself, come think of it. Yeah, subscribe to me. Come back next week. We may not cook anything good, but we're going to drink another one of Tango Joe's beers. And this one is delicious. That's absolutely delicious. These ribs are perfect. Look at that one. Perfect bite. Delicious, sublime. Life-changing. Let me tell you what. Give this a try, babies. You won't regret it. We'll see you next week. Bye.